ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणम् मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे। The scriptural tradition of Sanatana Dharma has always been effective in expressing great truths, at times in great detail, and at other times with utmost brevity. On one hand, you have all the Vedas, which are in principle believed to be infinite. The number of mantras is supposed to be infinite. Ananta vai Vedaha, is a famous statement. Though what is available to us, what humanity knows or is familiar with, is a small number of mantras. That itself is very huge, but compared with the so-called infinite expanse. And at the other extreme, all the Vedas are contained in Om. Therefore, it is that we saw the 12th and 13th shloka. Especially, we entered the 13th shloka, where Sri Krishna says, Om iti ekaksharam brahma vyaharan manusmaran. Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Ramana Maharshi both had said, all the Vedas are contained in the Gayatri mantra, and the Gayatri is further contained in Om. Provided you have the maturity, the depth of understanding, purity of Antakarana, Om alone is enough. Continuous meditation on Om can bring to you all the wisdom of the Vedas. Unbelievable, isn't it? One syllable, Ekaksharam Brahma, can bring all the wisdom to you, all that you need. The Param and the Aparam. This is the Param Alambanam, Aparam Alambanam, says Kathopanishad. This is the support for getting anything in the lower realm, and this is the support, Alambanam, for getting anything in the higher realm. No matter what you want, you get this. You get it from Om. Yo yadichhati tasya tat is another statement from the Katha. Yo yadichhati tasya tat. You get what you want. In modern times, they have come out with some theory called the law of attraction. And if somebody thinks of something with single pointed desire, the whole world will come around to give him what he has been desiring. Contrary to the belief that the world is cruel and the world is all set to destroy our dreams, we have to always swim against the current, etc. Contrary to that popular belief, The scriptures say the world is compassionate. It is you who don't define clearly what you want. Today you want something, tomorrow something else, yesterday something totally different. Your mind is going in 100 directions. You forget the goals that you had set for yourself. Even in the spiritual realm, people join an ashram with some intention, then they forget those intentions, then they get busy with something else related or sometimes not related to spirituality at all. Alas, the human mind has this terrible weakness. It doesn't stick to one goal. Once Swami Vivekananda said, if I were to go back to my younger days, I will take a year off and not study any subjects that are taught at school or college. I'll take a year off and just make my mind single pointed. Teach my mind, train my mind, he said, to the effect. I will train my mind not to be so unsteady. My mind should be able to take up something, go fully into it, take it to the end, then take the next one. Not that you become mechanical in the process. It is focus with awareness. It is being able to pursue a certain work, knowing very well that there are many other things, but I'll get down to them later. Not some kind of exclusion, not that you turn a blind eye or you turn deaf ears to other things. You are very much aware, you are responsible. But as we said before, you have cured yourself of the ailment called unsteadiness, chanchalata. Coming back, in the 13th verse, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Om iti ekaksharam brahma, monosyllable, single ucharansha. The translation in many Indian languages for syllable is ucharansha, which is different from akshara. Om itself is, for example, made of a, u, and some silence following that. So there are three aksharas or 2.5 aksharas. But syllable wise, Om is considered a monosyllable. Om iti ekaksharam brahma. Reference is to charansha. Vyaharan mam. Vyaharan goes with Om. Om iti vyaharan. Repeating, reciting Om. Then mam anusmaran. Remembering me constantly. Yaprayati tyajan deham sayati paramam gatim. These are wonderful punchlines. Even a quarter of such a shloka you bear in mind, it can make a difference to your state of mind, your focus, your inner stability, your inner stairya, we call it, steadiness. You and I tend to again and again get unsteady, restless, depressed, remembering something, anxious, imagining something. Alas, all of that is unnecessary. Stay with Sri Krishna. Mam Anusmaran. Mam Anusmaran is not even a quarter, not even 1/4 of a shloka, because the second quarter here is Vyaharan Mam Anusmaran. Leave that Vyaharan to the first quarter. From the second pada of the shloka, take just 2 words. Mam Anusmaran. In your moments of depression, at times of loneliness, at such occasions, on such occasions when you feel lost, remember these 2 words, Mam Anusmaran. You will feel as though lifted in spirits. Mam Anusmaran, remembering the divine supreme ruler of the universe. If somebody leaves his body, Deham Tyajan Prayati. Prayana is, in this context, the movement from one body eventually to another. Sayati Paramangati. Adi Shankara gives a brief commentary. Sarvadvarani. It is a karmadharaya samas. Sarvani cha tani dvarani cha upalabdhau. So, upalabdhi is to obtain. You will obtain forms and colors through eyes. We obtain sounds through ears. So, with smell through nose, sense of touch through the skin, and the sense of taste through the tongue. Therefore, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are called gates. Much before Bill Gates came to be known, Gita was talking about gates in the body. The body of ours has Navadware Pure Dehi from another angle of view, but here the reference is mainly to the sense organs. Call it 9, call it 5, call it 11, as we have said a couple of times in the Kathopanishad, Puram Ekadashadwaram Ajasya Vakrachedasaha. Ekadashadwaram. That depends on how you count, what you count in or what you count out. Let's not worry about numbers at this place, at this moment. Sarvani dvarani upalabdhau yani dvarani santi tani sanyamya sanyamanam kritva. If you do it purely through willpower, that is inferior. If you do it with willpower plus certain understanding, intelligence, insight, certain intuitive grasp, everything is like that. If you do something with willpower, well, you will achieve a certain extent of your desired goals, but it leaves behind other complications. You and I should do satsanga, learn, study, reflect, and live rightly. Then willpower plays a second fiddle, or plays the second fiddle, as the idiom goes. I think it's an idiom from the world of music. The main player plays the fiddle, and all others in the group play the second fiddle, meaning they follow. So the conductor tells them how to play, how to go ahead. So playing the second fiddle means to play the secondary role. The primary role is played by understanding, intelligence, insight. Thus, when we talk about Sanyama, it doesn't mean some kind of suppression, some kind of bullying ourselves to do something where we, given the freedom, would not want to do it. Whether it is getting up in the morning or anything else you do during the day and going to bed at a decent time at night, everywhere this tug of war between will and understanding takes place. If there is no such fight, if your understanding is so clear, so developed, then will doesn't cause any difficulty. Will becomes subservient. Will follows whatever the intelligence wishes to do. And hopefully the intelligence is good one, mature one. Because education can be bad education as well as good education. Terrorists also have been educated in terrorist training camps. They have been brainwashed, kill, loot, torture somebody, and so on. And then, with that understanding, that by killing somebody we will go to heaven, by torturing somebody we will be blessed by God, etc., then their willpower may in fact cooperate with that kind of understanding. But what a terrible state of affairs. The right understanding should be one of following what is truly good for all, following universal values, following the golden rule of ethics. Do unto others what you would want them to do to you. You want them to speak to you the truth. Please speak truth to them. You want them to be kind and respectful to you. You should treat them with kindness and with respect. Universal values. If you want them to appreciate your religion, for heaven's sake, respect their religion, respect their beliefs, respect their practices as long as they are not disturbing you, they are not encroaching upon your personal space. They worship God in certain other way, you worship God in a certain way. And therefore, so mature understanding is totally different from the understanding of terrorists or those who are social menace, who take upon themselves as though some divine force has said to them. They take upon themselves, quote and unquote, setting right this society. They need to set themselves right. So, sanyamya, you and I should live in higher self-control, well informed by knowledge, wisdom, insight, broad-mindedness. Manaha hradi pundarike, hradaya pundarike niruddhya. Shankaracharya comes to the next part where Sri Krishna has said in the 12th verse itself, he said, Mano hradi niruddhya. This part of the Bhashya is for both 12th and 13th together. So, Mano hradi niruddhya, Acharya says, hradi means hradaya pundarike. In the lotus of one's own heart. Interestingly, Buddhism also lays much stress on meditating upon the lotus of our heart. They have a very, very well-known mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. Padme means in the lotus, in the jewel of the lotus of our heart, I meditate. Om Mani Padme Hum. Right? So Sanatana Dharma has supplied such imageries to many other religious practices in the world. Hridaya Pundarike, Hridaya Kamale, Hridaya Ambuje, Niruddhya, Nirodham Kritva, Nishpracharam Apadya. Shankaracharya goes along with Sri Krishna, who, that is Sri Krishna, is talking the language of yoga. There are a number of stanzas, probably 100 of them, where if not explicitly, in a hidden manner, there is the influence of Patanjala Yoga in the Gita. There are 100 verses where there is the influence of Sankhya Yoga of Kapila Muni. And of course, the Purvamimamsa, Karma Kanda, has its influence at certain places. But Adi Shankaracharya would say, no matter what influences are welcomed in the teachings of Sri Krishna, finally Lord Sri Krishna is teaching us Advaita Vedanta. Bhagavad Geetā is a work of Vedanta, not of Sankhya, not of Yoga, not Purvamimamsa, not Nyaya, not all those Vaisheshika and others. Of course, not the atheist schools of Charvaka and many others. Not Jainism, not Buddhism. For both Jainism and Buddhism, either openly dismiss God or are silent about God. Whereas Bhagavad Gita is very loud in presenting the concept of Ishvara, God. Ishvara is in everybody's heart. Sarvasya hradi sannivishtaha. As such expressions come. Nishpracharam apadya. Nishprachara is what made me make a comment that Sri Krishna is using pretty much the language of Patanjala Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha is the most well-known sutra of Yoga Shastra. Prachara means mind going in different directions. Nishprachara, the mind is held at one point. Chitta vritti nirodhaha. Tatra Vashikratena manasa, with that mind which is well controlled, Hridayat urdhvagaminya nadya urdhvam aruhya. Sri Krishna said it, and Bhagavan Bhashyakara has no problem. Bhagavan Bhashyakara Sri Shankaracharya also goes by the same language. For Sri Krishna says, Murdni Atmanaha Pranam Adhaya. The energies have to be brought to the forehead, further up, and to keep it there. And explicitly, Bhagavan Krishna says, Yoga Dharanam Astitaha. It is a higher state of consciousness mentioned by yoga. Yoga Dharana. And accordingly, Bhashyakara says, Pravrittaha Yoga Dharanam Dharayitum. In this way, then what happens further? In a second paragraph in the Bhashya, Sri Shankaracharya says, Tatra evacha dharayan omiti ekaksharam brahma. This is especially on the 13th verse. Om iti brahma vyaharan. What is vyaharan? Uchcharayan. Reciting. Saying either loudly or loudly enough in the mental space. Brahmanaha abhidhana bhutam. Om is the name of Brahman. Abhidhana. Brahma is abhidheya and Om is abhidhana. The actual pot at a distance is the abhidheya, but the English word pot, the Sanskrit word ghataha, Kannada word madake, and some other word in other languages, they are all abhidhana. Through the abhidhana, you are guided to the abhidheya. You enter a room and you did not notice that in a corner there is a pot made of pure 24-karat gold. Gold pot. You came in and you sat on a chair facing some other direction. Somebody smiles at you and says, gold pot. You say, what? Gold pot? What gold pot? In this room there is a gold pot. So far you heard only abhidhana. And you say, really, in this very hall? You move your eyes and you see the shining gold pot, actual gold pot in a corner on a stool. That is abhidheya. So if Brahma, the reality is abhidheya, Om is the name, Brahmanaha abhidhana bhutam, Omkaram vyaharam. There's another word about which somebody telephoned me and for 15 minutes he spoke to me trying to understand. What is the difference? She was asking me, what is the difference between aham and aham pratyaya? I think it's worth mentioning, for it has great significance in the practice of self-inquiry. Aham is I. And aham pratyaya is an idea I have of myself. When I ask myself, who am I? If there is an idea, I am an utter failure in life, or some good idea. I am one of the most pious people in this neighborhood. So you have an idea about yourself, that is aham pratyaya. And aham by itself is the pure I. In the self-inquiry that Sri Ramana Maharshi advocated, you don't target Shuddha Aham. That cannot be targeted anyhow. You have to target the Aham Pratyayas which are all the time hijacking you. You go to a party and a certain idea that you are wearing much better clothes than all of them. You are having some jewelry which is of higher quality, makes you think in this gathering I am the most blessed one, etc. That idea, Maharshi says, question. Moment you think you are higher than somebody, question it. Some other place you feel lower. You go to a good party or get together where everybody is PhD, double PhD, and so on. And you only have a simple BSc, which is not a problem. Why should you have a PhD? What is so special about people having PhD? It's not a big deal. But your conditioning is such you feel low. So you have an idea, I perhaps do not belong here. I am a fish out of water now. I better quietly move out and disappear. That thought is the problem. Therefore, aham pratyaya puts you down. Some other place, aham pratyaya puts you up. Whereas the pure I, where liberation awaits you, is without high and low. Come back to now. Abhidhana bhutam omkaram vyaharan ucharayan tadartha bhutam mam ishwaram anusmaran. So when the word gold pot is mentioned, it indicates the real actual gold pot at the corner. Like that, when Om is uttered, you recite Om, it points to Ishvara, God, Sri Krishna, Mam, it is said here, Tadartha Bhutam, because Artha, meaning. What does Om mean? Om means God. So think of God while reciting Om. Anuchintayan, constantly thinking, Yaprayati Mriyate, whoever dies, Parityajan Tyajan Deham, Tyajan Deham iti Prayana Visheshanartham, Dehatyagena Prayanam Atmanaha na Swarupanashena ityartaha. What an interesting comment. Prayana should not be misunderstood as leaving even your Swarupa. That can never be. However, some dull-witted people think that when we die, nothing remains. When we die, we do not exist anymore. Therefore, the expression is made, Tyajan Deham. We use the word death. Yes, in a general sense, death means coming to an end. Even in lay language, ordinarily we say, oh, that man is no more. He doesn't exist anymore. All that is okay, like we continue to say, the sun rises in the east. But the truth of the matter is, the sun doesn't rise. It's the earth which has rotated to such an extent or to such a position where people in this part of the world see the sun as though rising in the east. So continue to use that expression, sunrise, sunset. But even if you say that 100 times, the fact that the sun doesn't rise is not affected. Na swarupa nashen. You don't die at all, though we use the word death all the time. You don't really die. From the point of view of your Swarupa, your true nature, you are 100% existent. You exist. Deham tyajan prayana visheshanartham. Dehatyagena prayanam atmanaha na swarupa nashena. So the subtle body, the Jivatma, leaves this physical body. Saha evam tyajan yati gacchati paramam prakrishtam gatim, supreme state. With this, the stage is set for Sri Krishna to emphasize constant remembrance of God. More you remember of sense pleasures, power, position, and so on, more bound you will be, knowingly or unknowingly, to enjoy something. The enjoyment comes to an end, but following that, there may be disease. You eat ice cream left and right, then you have problem in the teeth, your sugar level goes up, and the spiritual science does not hesitate to say that it's not just physical damage. If you and I live a life of indulgence, eat, drink, make merry, eat at wrong time, eat excessively, eat the wrong food, etc., our thinking is affected, our understanding is affected, our values are affected. Therefore, the question is, what is the easiest way? We don't mean a shortcut, but easiest in the sense something we can do. We are ready to walk a long journey of 1,000 miles, but please assure us that this is the way, this is the road. Go on this. You may have to walk 1,000 miles, but every step takes you closer to the goal. Rest assured of that. Is there that kind of path, practice? That is said in the 14th verse, one of the very popular verses. Ananyacheta satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginaha. What a beautiful word, Ananyacheta. Chetaha, Chetaha is mind. If you and I have a mind which, unless it is the call of duty, always stays with God. Call of duty we have to answer. Sri Ramakrishna said, when one hand of yours is at work, means performing some duty, hold God with the second. As soon as your duty, your work is completed, hold God with both the hands. Hold God with both the hands once work is over. What do we do these days? Once some work is over, we hold the mobile and check WhatsApp messages. Has somebody remembered us? Has somebody said something to me? Has somebody invited me to a party this evening? So we are hankering after socializing, sense pleasure, enjoyment, fun. So nowadays people are writing even books on Bhagavad Geetā with titles like Geetā for fun. Or title may be something else, but in their preface, in their introduction in the book itself, they say, please read this book. You will see how much fun it is to read Gita. Nothing wrong with that. I myself presented this wonderful book, Bhagavad Geetā for Children, written by a very nice writer, Rupa Pai of Bengaluru. Some 12 years ago, I think I had watched her TEDx talk. She was a college student that time, and I had told many people, Look at this 20-minute talk by a college girl who was doing MBA or something. It was terrific. Her fluency, her joy in talking about Gita, her interpretation were all wonderful. Then I forgot about that. But other day at a bookstore in Mumbai, I saw Gita for children, Rupa 5. And also it didn't occur to me it's the same girl. But as I took a look, and I say, yeah, this of course is the. Now she must be a mother of two children, little older. That time a college girl. And there it is said there are so many ways in which children can enjoy Gita. So fun is not in a bad sense. However, we generally want fun and we tend to let sadhana go to the winds. That should not happen. Have fun. If you like, chant some Hanuman Chalisa, etc., and some new tune in some well, dancing and so on. But don't leave Hanuman Chalisa and start singing some romantic song. Okay. Ananya Chetaha, mind is with God, Satatam constantly, Romam Smarati Nityashaha. Satatam already has been said, but to emphasize further, Nityashaha, day in and day out. Every one of you perhaps remembers in the second chapter, Sri Krishna said, those who constantly think of sense objects go down and down and down. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशः बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Some 9 steps of fall. See, there also, without many people noticing it, the point is conveyed that any abnormal excessive indulgence can not only spoil the body, physical ill health it brings, but smriti bramsha, smriti bramshat buddhinashaha, buddhinashat pranashyati. There was a student in our class somewhere. I asked her, recite those 2 verses out of memory, don't look at the book. She began very well. Dhyayato Vishwayan Pumsa. Angasteshu Pajayate. All that was good. But her own Smriti Bhramsha took place, her own Buddhi Nasha took place. At the end, do you know what she said? Instead of saying Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati, she said Tasya Prajna Pratishtita. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate down and down and down. Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammoha Smriti Vibhramaha Bapreva. Oh Shiva, you have gone so down, you are destroyed. Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nashaha. Now last line actually is Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Then he gets, sadhaka gets destroyed because of his intellect not working properly. But this wonderful Brahmacharini said, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati did she not say. Tasya Prajna Pratishtita. That person is enlightened. The opposite. Anyway, simple. What I am trying to convey to you is very simple. Think of not only ice cream or gulab jamun, think of, I will have such a designation. I will be the CEO. I will go to 8 countries in a 21-day tour. Oh, I will spend some money and spend a whole week at a 7-star hotel. Nothing wrong with any of these, but the thinking and getting attached and imagining that will give a solution to everything in life, imagining overvaluing them All of them have a place in life. Somebody wants to visit 8 countries in 21 days and come back, God bless him, no problem. But brooding, one should know the distinction. Thinking of doing something is never a problem. Gita actually asks us to do. Get up and do. Karma jayo hi akarmana. Action is better than inaction. Act, even if it is a vacation tour. Go on a cruise. Go on a mountaineering or what you call that, trekking trip. Gita endorses. But be careful. Don't allow something to happen inside you. What is that? You get attached. You begin to think that only if I spend at least a week every year in 5-star hotels, 7-star hotels, only then my life is worth living. Otherwise, I am a failure. Wrong conclusions. With your going around the world or without, with your staying once in a while in 5-star hotel or without, like that. With or without, you are fine. They are not so necessary. But dhyato vishayan pumsaha means the human being makes various pleasures, privileges, power, position, etc. so important to him that without them he thinks his self-worth is gone. That's not true. In order to cure us of this disease of wrong thinking, the best way, the time-tested way is given in this shloka. I will here also say, if you remember one pada, pada means quarter of a shloka. The second pada here, yo mam smarati nityashaha. Remember just that. What I should do is remember God all the time. Even when you are trying to solve some problems, take a minute break and remember God loving. Get back to the problem solving, back to your duty. When we do that, these verses have superficial meaning as well as hidden meanings. Tasyaham sulabha partha. Hey Partha, O son of Pritha, O son of Kunti, aham tasya sadakasya tasyaha sadikayaha va. To that spiritual seeker, I become easy. I means Sri Krishna becomes easy. You go to Goloka, you go to Vaikuntha, you go to some place where Lord Sri Krishna is visible with a smile or with playing his flute, he welcomes you. Come on, I have been waiting for you. Superficial meaning, which also is beautiful, but especially from Advaita Vedanta point of view, when Sri Krishna says, I am easy to such persons who constantly think of me, what this means is the undivided, pure awareness becomes easy. We are presently imprisoned in the cell of Ahankara. When we are in the cell of Ahankara, I am not you, you are not me, I am not her, she is not me. It is such a divided world. And all notions of high and low, all notions of too many problems. Aham partha sulabha tasya means even as you are in the world, you will not be of the world. You actually will find that amidst all diversity, all dualities outside, you experience yourself to be an undifferentiated principle of alertness. That is the transcendence of ego. Tasyaham sulabhatvartha nityayuktasya yoginaha. Every one of us, first of all, can become a yogi. We might have married, we might have had children, we might have already 4 or 5 grandchildren. Nothing matters. You might have lived even a rather worldly life. Nothing matters. Now take the teaching of Gita seriously. All I need to do is remember God, loving remembrance of God. Visualize God being just by your side all through the day. Remember God or visualize God to be in your own heart. I am never away from God. In this way, if you visualize, you are not encroaching upon anybody's privacy there or anybody's fundamental rights there. You are not harming anybody. And for heaven's sake, don't imagine you are being selfish. But some people needle you. Nowadays, you are sitting for japa too much. You're becoming selfish. You should join us to eat ice cream and have coffee and go for cinema, and you should. Then you are a selfless person. We may go to movies, we may eat ice cream with them occasionally, once in a while, but that doesn't mean that they should object to our doing japa or meditation or yogasana or tirtha yatra, going to temples. That shows their ignorance. They don't appreciate, they are not able to see the value of these spiritual practices. Somebody begins some spiritual practice, they pounce upon him. Why are you doing all this? This is not the age, you are still 57 only. Start it after you are 65. They don't let somebody do good things so easily in this world. But here is a yogi, Nitya Yukta. She smiles at these people who criticize him or her. She goes ahead. She has nothing against them. Let them find fault with her for her sadhanas. But she says, well, I too was like that at one time. I also, mocked at people who would sit with a japamala and what is this old lady doing? I used to say. But today I have woken up from that slumber. I know the value of japa. I know the value of spiritual practices. Life is short. I don't want to waste it away in socializing left and right. In this way, you again gather the energy to continue with your spiritual practices. Mam Smarati Nityasha. Remember these 3 words. That's the antidote. That's the medicine for all our ailments. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.